Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am not GMAC. I am Sean with a W, and welcome to the KFS pregame show. I'm here joined by my partner in crime, KFS Superstar Six. You are more than a six. That's from the other day. KFS Superstar Six Man Mensa. Mensa, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you, Sean?
Good. Now I know what some of y'all are thinking. Where the hell is Andrew Claudio? Listen, Andrew is not feeling well. He's feeling better, but we spoke today and he feels better. But to be perfectly honest with you, he sounds like shit. Like his voice sounds awful. So he could not make a pregame show. So I said, I will host a pregame show again. But don't worry, he's not getting Wally pipped. Hopefully he'll be back on Sunday. But here I am. And here Mensa is. So let's get into tonight's live stream, tonight's pregame show. Again, we're playing, according to my notes, we're playing the Bulls again? Jesus Christ. All right. So we're playing the Bulls again. So first, we'll just recap the last game. So, Mensa, I'll start. I'll throw it over to you. Any notes, any thoughts you'd like to share from the previous game, which was, I believe, was a 128-120 No, we scored 11 in the fourth quarter. It was like 128-120 victory at Chicago. So, Mensa, any thoughts about the game? So, about the last game?
That Knicks versus Bulls game was, for me, the ultimate Knicks experience under Tom Thibodeau, because we got to see the team play very well. We got to see them lock in on defense and do all the things that made us fall in love with this group of young players that play team-oriented basketball, get up and down the court. Jalen Brunson being Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle playing out of his mind for like the past week and some change. And then the fourth quarter happened. And one of my favorite things, one of my least favorite things about Julius Randle is when he believes he has a mismatch. It's like he's playing into the defense's hands, because he is the ugly truth about Julius Randle is we've ran our offense around him for the past 3 seasons, going on 4 seasons now, and there's been a bottom 10 offense in each of those seasons. Now this year we have Jalen Brunson. Quentin Grimes is playing better. RJ Barrett is in year 4. So the offense is a little more multiple. Now we're finally seeing a team that can play offense at a sustainable rate. You know, we're a top 15 offensive team this season. Now, for that fourth quarter to have happened, where we keep going to Julius Randle, and and I think Benji said it on his Twitter. He was saying that maybe you shouldn't target the Chicago Bulls' only good defensive player, maybe anybody else. And it's just like, how come we could see that, we could feel that? And I'm saying all this to say that the emotions were really, really high in that fourth quarter. And then overtime happened, and we came back to our senses as an offense. And we said, you know what, let's go to Jalen Brunson and let Jalen Brunson have the highlight of his season so far, maybe even his career, because man, oh man, was that a play. The crossover on Alex Caruso with the dagger 3-pointer. I mean, wow, what a way to end it. So it kind of just, for me, it just like encapsulates the toxic relationship we have with the New York Knicks. You know, ISO Randle, it was really, really rough, but we won the game. So there's only so loud you could complain. But if we did lose, we would have lost in the way that we have become accustomed to losing with this Knicks organization.
Yes. That was Julius Randle's career, Knicks career in a nutshell on Wednesday night. Do we think, okay, one of two things happened. One, Tom Thibodeau decided that he just wanted to run ISO Julius the last 3 or 4 possessions of the game, or Julius just hijacked the shit. Now, part of me actually leans towards the first option, because, look, Macri says it all the time. it's cool to run offense and everything, but down the stretch, when everyone knows what you've run, it's just like it comes down to like my best guy versus your best guy, make something happen. That's just the nature of the NBA. And once Tom Thibodeau, once he decides who his star is, he's gonna have that role. But part of me thinks like it was you got to placate the star, and I use the term star loosely because I mean Julius is a very good player. I wouldn't call him a star, although actually, I mean, he's played at an all-star level this year and obviously did 2 years ago. But do we think that Thibodeau was just placating him by saying, okay, I'll let you do this because we have the lead? And even at the end, it's like, okay, if he misses, the worst thing we can do is go to OT. Like, is that like him throwing him a bone? Because clearly we saw in the second in overtime that there was none of that. That was over that. So do we think he was placating him? Do we think Julius just hijacked the shit?
I don't know. Personally, I think it may have been a little bit of both. I think it's Tom Thibodeau. I mean, he's not necessarily known for having, the best offensive schemes. And when you listen to him speak about offense, he loves to say things that are kind of like general statements that don't really work with this group. Like, for one, you let the game tell you what to do. That's one thing he loves to say. He loves to talk about rim reads. But again, Julius, when the game can't tell Julius Randle what to do when he's coming from the perspective of I am Julius Randle and these guys can't guard me. Because when he's coming from that perspective, that's when he does the ISO nonsense and basically almost cost us a game, even though he was the reason we were up big in that game. Let's be very fair. He was killing the Chicago Bulls, destroying them, but he also almost destroyed the Knicks' chances. But I'm saying all that to say that Tom Thibodeau, from what I understand about Tom Thibodeau and his offensive philosophies, ISO Randle isn't too far away from what he would want because, that's the one thing that time after time after time after time will tilt a defense. It will. And we saw it. We saw it in the fourth quarter where Julius Randle was getting double and triple teamed because the Bulls knew they could not stop him. But they also knew that Julius Randle is not a good decision maker out of those sets, out of the double and triple team where I think he traveled on one of the referee didn't call it. He traveled into a triple team and then got bailed out, I think, by the Quentin Grimes three. I think that's how that ended up happening.
Yes.
It's all running together at this point. But I think that Julius Randle wants the ball because he believes he is a star player. He believes he is the New York Knicks franchise player, and the New York Knicks told him that when they handed him that extension, basically. And I think it's just Tom Thibodeau not being an imaginative offensive head coach because, I mean, the fourth quarter wasn't necessarily much different in terms of scheme as much as it was, all right, we're just going to give the ball to the better basketball player and he's going to make better decisions. And to me, that's not necessarily coaching. That's just, I could have done that. I could have said, Brunson, take us home, and Brunson would have taken us home. And I'm not trying to make light of Tom Thibodeau because I think he has shown over the past 2 weeks that he can still coach in the NBA at a high level because the guys are playing for him now. But also that fourth quarter, it really shined an ugly light on his philosophies, on his inability to coach the right things out of Julius Randle and to a lesser extent RJ Barrett. Not last night, but it I guess to answer your question, it was a little bit of both. Julius Randle wanted to be the star and Tom Thibodeau being Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like the funny thing is like everybody knew that last possession, 24.7 seconds left. Once at about 18 seconds left, everyone knew what the play was going to be. Well, it was going to be a play. It was going to be like, Julius, go do something. And unfortunately, I think every Knicks fan knew that ball was not going in. Like, we were just like, oh, we're going over. Like, as soon as it was like down to like 8, 7, 6, it's like, this game's going to overtime. So it went to overtime. And in overtime, as you said earlier, Jalen Brunson, as Walt Card Frazier said, put Alex Caruso on his derriere. Oh, actually, before we get there, this is something I'm going to look for tonight. And honestly, this would be the extent of the pregame preview of the game because we literally don't need to preview this team again because we literally played them 48 hours ago. Nothing has changed, right? I'm curious to see if they hunt that Alex Caruso switch again. Because I actually even tweeted it during the game. I said the fact that the Knicks are hunting Alex Caruso on a switch is hilarious. And that's where someone has to say, Julius, he's there. Like, DeMar DeRozan is right there. Zach LaVine is right there. Why are you hunting Alex Caruso? Whatever. But so JB put Caruso on his derriere, hit the three to basically, I mean, the game was pretty much over already, but that sealed the deal. It's nice to have a closer. So the question I'll ask you is, who's the Knicks' best player?
I got to go with my boy, Cashmere Brunson. I call him Cashmere because nothing feels more comfortable than Cashmere, and I've never been more comfortable with the New York Knicks than I have been with Jalen Brunson. So I think he is easily the Knicks' best player, and not because – and I think when you ask who's the best player, for me, let me quickly define what best player is to me. It's not the most talented. It's not the guy with the highest ceiling. It's the guy who night in and night out is the most consistent at a high level, and I think that's Jalen Brunson. We know Jalen Brunson is going to be consistent. We know he's going to come in and give us 20.7 assists every night. He's going to try on defense. He's going to draw fouls. He's going to do the things that, like a bad Jalen Brunson night, the process is still there. The process is still good. So for me, it's Jalen Brunson. It's not necessarily close. We can decide. I mean, who's been the best player in recent games? It's been Julius Randle, and that's inarguable. But Julius Randle is streaky. Jalen Brunson is the exact opposite of streaky. We can count on him just like we can count on Cashmere.
There's a comment there's a comment in the chat that I want to put up here. It's from Dirty Dancer. He says, Tibbs probably just chooses who he wants to read and react and goes who has a hot hand. I think that's right. I think that, to your point, Mensa, like, his offense is read and react, and to your point, he always says the game will tell you what to do. I think Tibbs has to realize, well, I should say he has to realize, because he do whatever the hell he wants, but not every player can read and react, and not every player can see what the game is telling you. Because, like, the game is not telling you to hunt for a switch on Alex Caruso. It's not, right? So now, listen, being a head coach is not easy. You got to play, you got to deal with egos and man management, things like that. So he was probably like, all right, listen, we'll roll with this. And again, I believe, like, because they were winning, he was more comfortable with it. I would like to have seen what would happen if Knicks were down 2 and needed a bucket. Where would he win? And I would say, yeah. So that's that. I mean, like I said, we really played this. We play this team already, but because we have to do what we do, I will put up the banner. Andrew Claudio was nice enough to put up a updated banner for top 5, bottom 5. So again, similar to that was last game. So this is last game. This is their stand. This is their top 5, bottom 5, and now here we are. So now still top 5 in free throw percentage. Again, of all opponent offensive rebounds, opponent steals per game, opponent turnovers per game, and still bottom 5 in possessions, 3 points, three points made and attempted. I find it interesting that they are no longer 7th in defensive rating. I guess that's what happens when you give up 128 points to the Knicks. But interestingly enough, they're still, like, they played interestingly enough. And because this actually is a preview for betting and sweating later, their bottom, they are 26 in possessions, which means they want to slow it down. Yet they still managed to score 120 points, 117 in regulation. I thought this game would have screamed under, because both teams like to slow it down, limit possessions, what have you. I just find it interesting that the game flew over. And usually when two teams play each other again, the game goes under, because, you've had 48 hours. Like, so I remember we played the Bulls back-to-back 2 seasons ago. And in fact, I have it right here. We played them on a Monday and a Wednesday night. The first game we lost 110 to 102. That's a total of 212. And then we played them again and we won 107-103, which is a total of 210. So it did drop, but it dropped way more often. It did not drop as much as I thought it would. Well, I'm trying to find out if I can find out what the over-under is on that game, but Basketball Reference is not trying to help my gambling out. Whatever. So listen, anything else you want to discuss about the last game or this game in particular? Because again, we don't really need to preview the Bulls because we literally played them 48 hours ago.
So the last thing I want to say is I kind of hated the way that game ended for Bulls fans because that's the ending that I would have wanted for Atlanta Hawks fans. That's the ending I would have wanted for all 7 Nets fans, for Miami Heat fans, because I was thinking to myself, like, man, if Jalen Brunson got crossed over that way for 3 and then we lost the game, I'd be throwing up. So and I don't really have any animosity for Bulls fans. I literally hated it had to be them. But winning 5 games in a row feels really, really good, especially for where we were on this team about 3 weeks ago. For these guys to string it together and, win 5 games in a row, I just want to, tip my hat to the organization, tip my hat to Tom Thibodeau, tip my hat to Leon Rose, to Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, who's coming around the mountain, to Julius Randle, Quentin Grimes. Mitchell Robinson has been proving me wrong all season. I did not want him back. I didn't think that he would be worth the money. I thought he was a bit immature, but the way he's playing right now, the way he's keeping his energy high, really, really invaluable member of this team. As far as this 5-game winning streak goes, because the defense isn't the defense without the center. And you've seen that in Boston, who had the best defense in the NBA last year. I think after some point, I'm not sure. After they got rid of Dennis Schroeder, they were basically the best defense in the NBA because of Robert Williams, and now they're more middling. So hats off to the New York Knicks, and let's see if we can make it 6 in a row.
So that's actually a good segue. Into something I wanted to discuss. But before we get to that, I'll say this. As someone who grew up watching the 90s Knicks, I love beating the Chicago Bulls. Those son of bitches could lose every single time. Listen, the 3 teams I like beating the most: the Heat, the Bulls, the Pacers, not as much. I think more of the younger fans hate the Pacers more because of 2013.
Oh yeah, because of the Roy Hibbert block, which wasn't.
I didn't like the Pacers in the 90s either, but then the 4-point play erased that for me. But yes, I will always enjoy beating the Chicago Bulls. So yes, I will always dislike the Bulls more than the Hawks. Like the Hawks, not a real rivalry. That's something that TNT and ESPN try to shove down our throats because Knicks for clicks. All right. And Dirty Dance, I see you. Yes, I hate them for Reggie too, but I guess time has dissipated. Like the last time we played them in the playoffs was 2000. Well, before
I still hate Reggie Miller.
I
wouldn't hate Reggie Miller so much if it wasn't for him being like a color commentator for TNT, and I think he's so corny and just terrible at his job. And then it's like, oh my goodness, you're only cool because you beat the Knicks. You haven't actually accomplished anything. But whatever.
Yeah.
Reggie Miller is the Trae Young of the 90s, or Trae Young is the Reggie Miller of the
No, hold on. Trae Young has done nothing to be compared to Reggie Miller. Like,
the reason why I'm saying it is like his highlight is beating the Knicks.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
That's the only comparison.
Yes, that's.
How old is Tim Smith? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I'll put the comment up. Tim Smith says he's hated the Celtics since the 60s, which means I assume he's born in the 50s. I don't like Boston because they're Boston. Yeah, I don't like Boston because they're Boston. But for me, and I'm 41 years old. In my basketball watching life, which started 30 years ago, the Knicks and the Celtics have never been good at the same time for an extended period of time. So one's good, one's like the 90s, the Celtics were nowhere to be found. And then obviously this century came in.
Yeah. I think as New Yorkers, we hate the Celtics because of either hating the Patriots or hating the Boston Red Sox. And it just, it's just like an adjacent hate. Because there's no reason to actually hate the Celtics as much as it's just like I hate the city of Boston and their sports for always being good, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, basically. And you know what? I don't care. Fuck them. All right. So you brought up the fact that they can continue this winning. Hopefully, they can continue this winning streak and go make it 6 in a row. So Kirk Goldsberry, who you should follow on Twitter at Kirk Goldsberry, he releases his efficiency landscape every 10 games or so. And thank you, Vinny Vegas. I appreciate you. He says I look great for 41. It's I drink a lot of water and gin. Yeah. So let me put this up here. Where is this? Do this one. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. So he comes out with this every 10 games or so. So this is the efficiency landscape. And basically it's teams offensive and defensive net rating. We will zoom in a little bit because nobody wants to see John Morant. Well, I mean, I like John Morant, but whatever. All right. So if you'll notice, so this is over the last 10 games. The team with the best net rating is the Memphis Grizzlies. Not surprising.
Beating the hell out of Milwaukee definitely helped them out.
Yeah. And look who's here at number 2 in the last 10 games. 3rd in defense, 9th in offense. Your New York Knicks. Now, I'm pretty sure the last time this came out, the Knicks were literally right here in the middle, embracing the mid, the epitome of mid. I'm actually going to see if I can find it. But yeah, right now, the Knicks are the number 2 team. Last 10 games, the Knicks are the number 2 team by net rating. I just want to give a little shout out to this team right over here, who somehow with superstar Donovan Mitchell is the worst offense in basketball the last 10 games. I'm pointing at the Cleveland Cavaliers. But back to the Knicks. Number two my net rating. Mensa. Is this sustainable? Can the Knicks stay in the quadrant of wow? Can the Knicks stay above the Boston Celtics, who have been literally slapping people around all season? How sustainable is this?
I wouldn't get your hopes up. I think the defense, considering the rotation, we have the Knicks are not playing a non-talented defensive player, unless you believe Jalen Brunson isn't a talented, but he tries his ass off. I don't think it's sustainable because that a top 10 offense for this group, I just can't see it. It's based that to me, that top 10 offense really, because well, now that I'm talking about it, I'm kind of talking myself into it because Jalen Brunson hasn't been at his best these past 10 games, but Julius Randle has had flame shooting out of his butt, and I don't think that's going to be sustainable. Do I think that the Knicks now, if you're asking me if the Knicks can be top 5 defense all season and top 15 on offense all season, yeah, I'll buy that all day, every day. But top 10 offense and defense, very few teams in the NBA can do that. And if the New York Knicks do it this year, then give Tom Thibodeau Coach of the Year, because that is a hell of an accomplishment for the roster that he has.
Absolutely. So I actually found the press. So this was from November 4th. You can see the Knicks were literally
they were the Mendoza line.
They were the Mendoza line. They were mid and everything. And then they moved, and then a week later they moved here. So they lost a bit of their offensive efficiency. Then you saw the defensive efficiency go down. This is the 18th. And this is when we were just giving up open threes left and right. Then we got a little bit better offensively around around Thanksgiving, but still right on the Mendoza line of offense. And then since then, it's just only improved. So we improved offensively. And I think this is around, so these last 10 games from December 2nd, that is when I started the Evan Fournier in the rotation to give us some minutes because we were the worst three-point shooting team in the league. And you remember I said it, that I don't know if it's possible for a team to maintain a top 10 offense and being the worst three-point shooting team in the league. So the offense started to improve. And then now, interesting enough, December 2nd was a Friday. We played the Mavs on the 3rd on Saturday, and that's when we had the embarrassing loss. And that's when people really thought it was it. And after that, that is when Thibodeau went to the 9-man rotation. So since going to the 9-man rotation, we went from here to here. Defensive efficiency improved drastically to where we are now, right here. How sustainable do I think it is? I do not think it will be the second best team by net rating. I think the defense will stick. I've always believed, and listen, Lord knows, Lord knows that Lord knows that Tom Thibodeau has his faults, and I've given him all the crap in the world. But one thing I've always said, and I remember Macri said this, and I've gone along with it. Like, you should have a top 10 defense. If you have Tom Thibodeau, you should have a top 10 defense. Didn't look like that for a while, and that's when I think his seat was the hottest. Because like, why the hell do we not have a top 10 defense? I think that's sustainable. Maybe not 3. Although if we keep playing teams missing the star players, maybe it will be. But I think this will stay. I think this will stay in the top 10. I think the offense will hover around between 10 and 15. So I think they'll be somewhere closer to, if the offense, they'll be somewhere closer to here. And I think they'll end up probably around here where the Sixers and the Pelicans are. I just want to give one shout out to the Atlanta Hawks down here.
Yes, sir.
Oh boy. All right. Enough about
True
that.
to Atlanta, baby.
Yes. All right. So with that being said, we're right on time. Let's jump into betting and sweating, brought to you by our friends at WynnBet. Download the WynnBet app or go to www.wynnbet.com to start winning. Sign up today and receive a special offer. Bet $100, win $100. Download, bet, win. And before we do get into betting and sweating, I do want to throw up another comment. This is from I think I've heard this guy. His name is Andrew Claudio, who says this new host is killing it this week.
I agree.
Thank you, Andrew Claudio. Don't worry, you are not getting Wally pipped. You will have your job. You will have your job back, but please get well soon. All right, let us go to betting and sweating. I will share my screen again. Let's just do this. Here we go. Knicks at Bulls. All right, so Mensa, before the show, when we're discussing picks, you are gonna zig a little bit when it comes to your pick for betting and sweating. What is your pick going? How are you going to zig?
Okay, so I really I've gone away from parlays. Like, the more you bet is the less you enjoy parlays. I'm really a straight better, but tonight I really, really like the lines as a combination. So we're gonna go to 3-pointers, and I'm taking both RJ Barrett and Quentin Grimes to hit over 1.5 threes at plus 166. I don't like paying the juice for either of those guys. I think Quentin Grimes is like minus 154 and RJ Barrett is minus 162. The reason for that is, as we saw last game, the Knicks, Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett specifically, each hit 4 threes against the Chicago Bulls. And that is not an aberration. The Chicago Bulls are a bottom 5 defense against the 3-pointer tonight. And considering that the Chicago Bulls will be trying like hell to stop Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, I think the volume is going to be there for both of them the same way it was the last time we played them. So I am taking that as a parlay. We're going to parlay Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett together. That is my one pick. I don't get credit if one hits and one doesn't, because I am parlaying it. And it kind of worked out because I don't think XJ has a pick. So we're going to end up with 4 anyway.
Okay. Hopefully if we get a pick from XJ, if we get it after the show, we'll just make sure we tweet it out. Maybe we'll get it during the show. It's fine. So, Mr. Claudio is going back to the well, the Julius Randle points, rebounds, and assists well. And he is taking Julius Randle over 44.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Where the hell are you, Mr. Randle? There you go. 45 at plus 200. Getting a little all right. So let's go for it here. I hope today's not the day that Julius turns into a pumpkin, just for Andrew Claudio's sake. Now, for my pick, so I really wanted to pick. I've been the last four games I have picked Knicks first quarter. I do not believe that, and they barely won the first quarter last time. So I just don't like, again, when you play the same team twice in a row, especially in their place. It's hard to beat them twice. Like, you don't expect the game to go similarly. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to take the under 22.5, because I believe that, I don't know how much longer Julius is going to have flames shooting out of his rear end. I know that I like Billy Donovan as a coach. I figured there had to be some adjustments made. If I will say this, if we start hunting Caruso switches again, I really feel good about this. But I'm going to go with under 20. I'm going to go with the under 225.5 at -110. So that's what we have for now. So as of right now, if you parlay this all, it is plus 1421. Last time we went 4 for 4. So maybe you don't want to fade us this time. So and again, if we get here from XJ, we'll get his bet on. If not during the show, we'll tweet it on before the game starts. And we have a super chat to get to from my man I-95 Bully. What's up, I-95 Bully? By law, we have to hate the Bulls, Pacers, and Heat. Jordan ruined my childhood. Trae Young wishes he was in Miller's class. Bum. All right. So
very fair.
I don't think Trae Young is a bum, but for purpose of this conversation, he is. Number two, I'm with you 100%. Trae Young is not in the same stratosphere. Like, Reggie Miller's a Hall of freaking Famer. And right now, Trae Young's claim to fame is that I beat the Knicks in a first-round playoff series, and I saw Ben Simmons piss down his leg. So he has to do a lot more to get those accolades. But yes, you're right. I think I can curse on here. Fuck the Bulls, fuck the Pacers, and fuck the Miami Heat forever. Forever. Do you know how traumatizing it was as a 16-year-old? Quick story. That game 5 in Miami, when Charlie Ward gets flipped over by PJ Tucker. If you don't know this, if you haven't seen this, go on YouTube well, you're already on YouTube. Well, some of you on YouTube, but look it up on YouTube. 97 Eastern Conference, Knicks Heat 97 game 5. I didn't even watch the game because I was actually at a Sweet 16 birthday party that night. And I knew we got our ass kicked. And then I got home and I found out what happened. I said, wait, what? And then the suspensions. And after that, like, no. It is fuck the Miami Heat forever and ever and ever and ever. So that's all I got to say. I-95 Bully, thank you for your contribution. And yes, Study Hall will be back tomorrow at 11 now that Elon Musk has restored spaces to the community. I can't believe that guy. I cannot believe that guy at all. All right, let's do this. Okay. So we got about 10 minutes left before game time. Any final thoughts, Benson, that you'd like to share?
I think the Knicks are going to win.
The floor is open. You can talk about anything you want.
I think the Knicks win tonight. I really do. So again, as a serial bettor, I took New Orleans money line last night against the Utah Jazz because, one, I believe Utah is an inferior team to New Orleans, but also I didn't think that New Orleans would lose twice in a row. But they found a way to lose twice in a row. So it gives me confidence to believe that the New York Knicks, who I believe are the better team, have been playing better basketball, may even have the best player on both rosters in Jalen Brunson. I like the defense that they're playing. Well, this season at least, I think Jalen Brunson has been better than everybody in Chicago. I like the defense we're playing. Chicago does not have but one defender, and if we can figure out a way to, take him out of the game instead of making him the center of our offensive game plan, like maybe avoiding Alex Caruso might be the wise thing to do tonight. Maybe, who knows? That's just my opinion. But if we can figure out a way to do that because they can't stop us. We saw it in overtime. We saw it in the first 3 quarters. They cannot stop what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. I don't think that, 2 nights rest and, one session of film review or maybe 2 sessions is going to fix their problems. I think Chicago is a team that's on the down and down and not the up and up. I think they're doing bad. I think they're going to continue to do bad this season, and it's going to end with a trade. I don't know who they're going to trade, but somebody's leaving that team because they're not built. They're not built for success. They're not sustainable. And I think the New York Knicks, being a team that still, believe it or not, in my opinion at least, has a coach that is 2 or 3 bad performances from being right back on that hot seat. So I think the New York Knicks win tonight, and I think they win in even more convincing fashion. And I do think that it's going to happen the same way. We're going to shoot a lot of threes. We're going to break the defense down. Julius Randle's going to play well. I just don't see, like, schematically, I don't see how a team with Nikola Vucevic as a rim protector is going to stop what the Knicks want to do, which is pack the paint, spray it out, and dominate you on offense.
Yeah. Listen, from your lips to God's ears. I will say this, since we have a few minutes left, because this piggybacks on what about keeping this winning streak going. So while during the Elon Musk temper tantrum, I actually dusted off Spotify Live and went in there. I was hanging out with my man JB Fortis, who hosts NBA Now, NFL Now every it's like 8 to 9 Twitter Spaces, and he's a Celtics fan. But he actually said that he sees this team. I'm gonna put up the schedule here. So here are the Knicks next couple games. So obviously at Chicago tonight, then at Indiana, Golden State without Steph, Toronto, who's a 10 seed right now, Chicago again, and then Christmas hosting the Sixers. He said we could have a 10-game winning streak going into that Sixers game. How much odds would I have to give you to bet that we would win the next 5 in a row? And if you don't think we can win the next 5 in a row, where's the loss? And we know you still think we're gonna win tonight. So where's the loss here?
The Knicks typically don't play well. Okay, so before I even go there, I'm looking at. So usually, like, talent is talent, but if a coach is severely outclassed, that also helps. Wednesday, December 21st, I do not believe Tom Thibodeau is in the same tier of a head coach as Nick Nurse. And I think that Siakam, OG Anunoby, like, they're built to beat a team like the New York Knicks. They're a long team. Jalen Brunson really struggles against length, and Fred VanVleet is no slouch on defense. I don't think Julius Randle will be able to do half as much as he's been doing against a guy like Pascal Siakam. They don't really have a true rim protector. So this may be a game where we can, build some Mitchell Robinson stock and maybe get him a new home in Canada at some point. But but I think that I don't know, man. It's just really hard to beat the Raptors. It's in New York, which is a plus, but I think that I have a hard time seeing us beat the Raptors. Also, Tyrese Halliburton is really, really, really good. And for some reason, he believes he was snubbed by the New York Knicks when he went on media press tours saying that he only wanted to play in Sacramento. But whenever he plays the Knicks and he has a good game, he has a little subtweet for us. So it's just weird. I don't understand. I do not understand people's fascination with being fake snubbed by the Knicks, but he's one of those guys who has that fascination. So those are the two matchups that I am most leery of. Every other game to me, I'm pretty confident the Knicks will have a chance in going into Christmas. But the game on Sunday worries me, and the game on Wednesday also worries me.
So you know why people act like they want to get fake stuff against the Knicks, because it's New York, and the media so there's a particular player who played very well against us last year that went out of his way in the post game to say that to dunk on the Knicks for passing on him for not drafting him. So that's why he always wants to come and play. That's why he always wants to come and play well here. I'm not going to say his name because I don't believe in bigging up. I don't want to say who. I don't want to adhere to who it is. But all you need to know is that he's currently not playing right now, and he fumbled the bag this summer. That's all you need to know. So I'm with you on Toronto, especially since it's a back-to-back, third game in 4 nights. And also because I've been trolling the Raptors fans on Twitter for like the last 2 weeks. I've been telling them about how mid they are. David, they call us mid, and I'm like, you're mid too. You just don't realize it yet. And here they are. So that'll probably be the game. But as someone said it in the chat, like our schedule's not very intimidating. I mean, Chicago's winnable, Indiana's winnable. Golden State, listen, we beat Golden State last year in Chase Center.
Yeah,
with Steph and Clay and everybody. Toronto, I think I can see Toronto being a loss. I want to beat Chicago because Chicago stinks. Philly, Maxey won't be back, but Embiid and Harden should be back. That should be a loss. But then again, after that, at Dallas, we are never afraid of Dallas.
Never.
I think we usually win in Dallas too.
And that roster sucks outside of Luka Doncic. Let's call a spade a spade. That is not a well-built team.
Nope. See, here's the thing. The Texas Triangle is going to be annoying.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, none of them are back-to-backs. I will actually say that I'm actually glad we're playing. Okay, we're definitely losing the Houston game because that means these dudes are going to be in Houston on a Friday night. V-Live just took them for a check. But listen, these games, Dallas is winnable, San Antonio is winnable, Houston is winnable. I will say this: if you don't take Houston seriously, they will clap you.
Yeah,
there was a dude in Spaces, Rockets fan. He said, listen, if you don't take the Rockets seriously, they will beat you because they'll put it up. Phoenix is tough, but then San Antonio again, back at Toronto, and then Milwaukee, Indiana, Washington, Detroit. This is okay. Are we going to win them all? No, but there's opportunity here
to go on a real run,
bank some wins. The Knicks absolutely need to bank some wins. All right. That's all I got. Thanks to everyone for pulling up. Thanks for the super chats. Thank you for making this experience pretty good for me. Andrew Claudio should be back on Sunday. And that's that. So listen, go in there, place your bets, get your tails on betting and sweating. And that's all I got to say. So for Mensa, I'm Sean for W. Thanks for watching. Knicks Nation, let's ride. Shout out to the Bronx High School of Science.